Zelensky faces the greatest diplomatic and strategic challenge of his presidency, securing Ukraine's future in the face of the shifting tectonic plates of uh, politics. With Donald Trump back in the White House and Putin emboldened by recent territorial gains, modest territorial gains, Ukraine's war effort is at a critical juncture. Zelensky has made a pragmatic calculation. If ideological appeals fail to sway Trump, perhaps business will. His latest strategy involves offering lucrative reconstruction contracts and access to Ukraine's vast reserves of rare earth minerals to entice American investment and keep the US engaged. And this approach is tailored to Trump's transactional style of diplomacy, and by emphasizing economic incentives, Zelensky aims to convince the former president that continued support for Ukraine aligns with American financial and strategic interests. Trump's comments on wanting the money back reflect his skepticism towards continued aid, but his interest in Ukraine's mineral wealth suggests there is room for negotiation. The stakes couldn't be higher. If Trump scales back military support, Europe alone lacks the capacity to fill the gap, a point Zelensky has said yesterday. The loss of American air defense systems like the Patriot missiles would leave Ukraine vulnerable to relentless Russian bombardment. Russia has intensified its offensive against so many civilians, seizing more than 1,600 square miles in Donetsk over the past year, advancing closer to the Dnipropetrovsk region and exploiting Ukraine's infantry's shortages. Ukraine forces, stretched thin, face a 2-to-1 disadvantage in manpower, and yet at the same time, Ukraine's ingenuity with drones is astonishing. Morale is failing, it's faltering. The prospect of an imminent peace deal has led to increased desertions among Ukrainian troops, while 6 million men have yet to update their military records, avoiding potential conscription. The Ukrainians' public attitude towards the war has also shifted. While 2 years ago 90% of Ukrainians wanted to fight until victory, today nearly half favour a compromise if it includes substantial security guarantees. Putin has every reason to stall peace talks while ramping up military pressure. Russian forces are advancing more efficiently than in 2022, and Moscow has secured reinforcements from North Korea, with 200 artillery systems and thousands of troops reportedly deployed in support of Russia's war effort. Putin's demands remain maximalist: Ukraine's disarmament, neutrality, and the end to NATO influence in Eastern Europe. His aide, Nikolai Patrushev, has even suggested that both Ukraine and Moldova could cease to exist as independent states by the end of the year. The Kremlin's confidence is bolstered by economic endurance. While Russia's economy is under strain, with 10% inflation, soaring food prices and interest rates of 21%, defence spending remains at Cold War levels, and it consumes a third of the state budget. Putin believes he can outlast Ukraine, and time is on his side. Zelensky's diplomatic challenge is twofold: securing continued US support while navigating the complexities of a potential peace settlement. His latest move, offering to swap Russian-held Ukrainian territory for the return of Ukrainian land occupied by Russia, signals a willingness to make difficult compromises, and this is a significant shift. Until now, Zelensky has ruled out territorial concessions, viewing them as appeasement. The war, however, has reached a point where pragmatic trade-offs may be necessary to ensure Ukraine's survival. Trump, for his part, has little interest in a settlement that mirrors Biden's withdrawal from Afghanistan, a deal that would be seen as an humiliation for the West. Instead, his administration is pushing for concessions on both sides. Trump's leverage over Putin lies in Russia's economic vulnerabilities. If the US can lower oil prices through increased production, Russia's financial position would deteriorate fast, potentially forcing Moscow to negotiate. Zelensky has dismissed the idea of a European-led security guarantee without American involvement. While French President Emmanuel Macron has floated the possibility of a European peacekeeping force, Zelensky remains sceptical, arguing that unless it consists of 100,000 to 150,000 troops, it would be ineffective against the Russian military. The next few months will determine Ukraine's future. If Zelensky cannot secure sustained military aid, and a favourable negotiating position, it risks being forced into an unfavourable peace dictated by Moscow. If negotiations fail and Ukraine continues to weaken militarily, the very existence of the Ukrainian state could be at risk. Zelensky is running out of time. The battlefield dictates the negotiating table, and Ukraine must either strengthen its position or risk losing everything. His ability to navigate this complex global political terrain will define not just his presidency, but Ukraine's fate.